All right, Unite round here again for season 24-25, a little bit earlier in the year this time around. But we're here to give our prediction and tips and scores and everything in between for this year's event. I'm joined by Christian and Jacob. Guys, the first fixture on the Friday afternoon, maybe not starting as hot, but we need to save the prime time slots for the big games. Perth Glory, Western United. Props to anyone who suggests Perth Glory will get anything out of any game this season.
Yeah.
It's going to be remarkable any time it happens. Western United, I don't think Jacob has been as bad as their results suggest. Western, yeah, I don't think they've been as bad as 2 points. And Perth have probably been good for their 1 point. So, yeah, I think Western will get a win here, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what Aloisi has been saying. Is that yes, their position on the table because of their points is where they're at, but perhaps doing them a bit of a disservice with how well they've played. So yeah, I think easy points for Western. Perth just look all over the place at the moment, and my hope for them is not even slowly dwindling. It's gone. I mean, like I mean, at this point, they've not even shown glimpses of looking like good. It's just been pretty bad all season long, and big things are going to have to change for that to change, and I really don't see it happening anytime soon. And Western at least are putting together passages of play that look promising. I think structurally they look pretty good. It's just about those moments that they've not been able to find in games so far, whether it's a non-penalty call, as was the case in the Adelaide game, or just not quite being able to find that final pass or that final moment in the attacking third. So no, I think that they'll be they'll get the points over Perth easily. Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that penalty call. That was bad, wasn't it?
That was
really bad.
It was so bad.
Christian?
Yeah, I didn't expect the West United to impress me so much. I think, especially with the young core players that they do have, I think, the mentality they've shown, the fight, just, taking up to some of these sides, even Adelaide away from home, where they were very unfortunate not to at least, come away with a point. Whereas in seasons past, you'd sort of associate that, albeit Adelaide haven't been themselves the past couple of seasons, you'd pencil that in almost as an Adelaide win. So I think the characters there, you can just see that intensity, but do they have, I guess, the quality to keep it going consistently? Obviously, this is going to be played at a neutral venue. It could play into Perth's favour, and it is going to be part of my prediction, but it'll be later on in the third fixture where I'll announce.
It's going to play into Perth's favour.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose by 5. It's only going to be 4.
Could be only 4. Yeah, it could be.
Okay, let's move on. F3 Derby Friday night. The Jets against the Mariners. The first time for this season at a neutral venue, of course. Fascinating. Two teams really not giving us a lot to rave about, either team. Christian, really.
Yeah, both have been pretty disappointing. I mean, for the Jets, besides that win against the MacArthur, I think it was at the Jets. I mean, that was a massive shock because the week before, MacArthur obviously defeated Perth 6-0, albeit, Perth struggles as of late. But the Jets and the Mariners, for that matter, seeing the Mariners playing the Asian Champions Elite, they've been quite terrible. Going to put it frank. They haven't offered really anything, and even defensively, obviously, they've had to make do without Trent Sainsbury at the back. They just look a bit shaky all over the place. So, yeah, I do see goals in this one. Obviously, another neutral venue, first time this F3 Derby, going to be interesting. So yeah, again, part of my prediction, but we'll have to wait until the next round we discuss.
All right, then fine, be that way. I think the Mariners, Jacob, I give the edge slightly towards. I could see it kind of being a 1-1 kind of game. I don't think the Mariners score more than 2 goals, so I think it'll be tight the whole way. But I just don't believe in the Jets more than I don't believe in the Mariners, I think.
See. Yes and no, because we've seen the Jets in these in individual games, like against MacArthur, being able to sort of turn it on and look competent, whereas the Mariners.
But did they, or is it just Eli Adams scoring 2 very nice goals?
Well, okay, so what's to say he's not going to do the same again here? And
good luck to him.
good luck to him. And honestly, you say you don't see the Mariners scoring more than 2, but I can see the Jets scoring more than 2. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, like in that regard, I do give it to the Jets, but I think it's going to be a draw. But I think if there's going to be a winner, I think maybe perhaps controversially, I think it might be the Jets that would get it.
Okay. Brisbane, Adelaide, Jacob. I believe you're ditching us on the weekend, right? You got a ticket in the Adelaide away bay.
Yeah, so someone on Reddit came in clutch and managed to get me a ticket in the Adelaide away bay, so that'll be good fun to be out in the stands for that one. With the rest of the Adelaide degenerates that are going to be out there. But no, this game, honestly, I think is going to be a ton of fun. Adelaide and Brisbane games, the last 5-6 seasons have just been crazy. Tons of goals, red cards, controversy, you know, last minute winners. It's just been great fun almost every time that these two teams have matched up in the past few years. So I don't expect that to change. Obviously, it's sort of a tale of two Adelaide teams in a way, in that Brisbane have a lot of former Adelaide United players in their squad. So perhaps it's going to be a bit of a grudge match for those guys, and they're going to want to go, you know, you should have kept us around because this is what we can do. So no, I'm expecting it to be a ton of fun. I think, look, Adelaide have had a decent start to the season, and it's kind of surprising because, look, again, I'll say I wasn't as down on them as I had been, but I'm still surprised by the fact that they have started so well. I think with Bart Vriends back in now, that's a huge boost to the defense, and he looked really quite solid last time out as well. And, you know, and that can only help. Obviously, going forwards, we know the threat that Adelaide pose. So I do think Adelaide will get the win here, and Brisbane yet to really get things clicking. And I know, Lockie, obviously you're quite high on Brisbane. So you might even think that there's a potential for them to get a result here. And I wouldn't disparage you of that thought, because, yeah, Adelaide have been shaky defensively at moments, but I do think that Adelaide have perhaps, I think they've got something going here, and if they can, you know, get a result here, that'll be huge for their season. So I think that there's going to be, you know, Viet will be putting a lot of, not pressure, but, you know, a lot of importance on this game to get a good result and continue a good start to the season. So I think that Adelaide will have the edge. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you did say that Brisbane will get the result here.
Yeah, Brisbane are going to win. Absolutely. They played the three toughest teams in the competition so far. They haven't been well beat by any of them.
No.
You know, we've seen much wider margins in other games so far. So now is the start of their comeback story for the rest of the season. They've copped the hits early down the bottom of the pile, which is remarkable that they sit below Perth Glory. That just shows you what a fixture list can do, right? So,
yeah.
No, they're going to come back. They're going to win and kick off their run to fourth place in the league this year, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, they dominated possession last week, or the week before, against Victory. They had nearly about 70% possession. And then Zakovic came out after the game and said, you know, that they dominated the game. I mean, they dominated in possession, but they didn't dominate in terms of, you know, general play. I think it was more just a lot of passing around the back. There wasn't real sort of cutting edge in the final third. But in this game in particular, I do agree with Jacob that there is going to be goals in this one. And I think it's my turn to sit on the fence, and I'm going to call a draw. But I do see, a lot of goals in this one, and this is where my prediction is going to come in. So for this game specifically, Adelaide-Brisbane, both teams to score at least 2 goals. That's for this game. That's previous game, yeah, I know. That's why I'll stick my neck out on the line a bit.
You want to put more on top of that?
Yeah, I've got another 2 games to go. So the Perth Glory Western, both teams to score, obviously at least 1 each, so not as sort of difficult. Hopefully, I mean, Perth can hopefully pull through, please score a goal, show some sign of life. But Newcastle and the Mariners are also both teams to score. So those are my 3 predictions there.
So lots
for the first
goals.
3 games. Lots of goals in this round.
Let's move on to the Sydney Derby. I've been simmering on this, and I wanted to give this prediction in one way or the other, and I've been undecided on which way to fall. Obviously, Juan Mata has been a big point of conversation for the Wanderers and how he fits in. He got some more minutes this week against, I believe, the under-23s, the Australian team. They had a domestic training camp. They played the Wanderers. Mata was involved. I reckon he starts against Sydney FC. That's been the whole thing of where does he fit into the system. This isn't part of the official prediction. I think he'll play as a deep lying player, where we kind of wanted to see get on the ball a lot. But my prediction is that he'll start the game. in the starting 11. Jake.
Stick your neck out. Say defensive mid. Say something. Say give the extra. Come on.
I'm sticking my neck out by saying he's going to start because that's only happened once so far.
Yeah. No, I can see him starting as well. Perhaps to try and put to bed this whole discussion about, where does he fit in the team? Does he fit in the team? Blah, 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 blah. You've got to give him the chance to start and go from there. In terms of how the game's going to pan out, I'm actually going to give it to the Wanderers. Milanovic has been on fire and can be a real difference maker. And he was basically invisible in the first derby. I think with him in form, he is a tough one to stop. And we've seen that Sydney have these mental errors in them defensively. Obviously, it's a pretty young defensive core of Popovic and Matthews, which doesn't help. But,
Matthews is suspended for this game, by the way.
There you go. I think Milanovic could run riot here, and I think he could be the real difference maker. That's not to say Sydney aren't going to play well. Obviously, we've seen what they can do even without Costa and Lolly. We know that they're a good football side, but I just think it's that these derby games are always down to almost sort of those individual moments, and I think that Milanovic has that in him, especially with the form that he's in. So I'm actually going to give this one to the Wanderers.
Fascinating. Yeah, I think this game as a whole, I think it's so good that it feels unpredictable.
Yeah.
We don't know about the fitness of Lolly and Costa. We don't know if the Wanderers are going to start matter. We don't know if they're going to show up and score lots of goals like we know they can. We don't know if Sydney are going to continue this run of bad form. They haven't really played, as you say, that badly, but they are they've lost 4 of their last 5 in all competitions, I believe is the stat. So they're not coming in with a great form line, Christian.
Yeah, I'm going with the Wanderers as well in this match. I know they haven't been as convincing, in terms of the first few games of the season, but I just think the stars are aligned to finally sort of break over the barrier and get these 3 points against Sydney, because Sydney currently they're in a bit of a rough patch at the moment with Lolly and Costa, sort of question marks around their fitness. Obviously, I've mentioned Hayden Matthews suspended for this one, so a bit of uncertainty in the back as well. So not saying Sydney can't produce a good performance. They've still got the quality and the talent for sure, but I just think it's one of these games for the Wanderers where we've seen in previous derbies over the years where, the Wanderers have been in sort of a rough patch themselves, and they've needed the response and they've stepped up to the plate. So I think this fixture in particular just screams a massive response from Stajic. And they got it the week before, against the Jets. But I think in this derby against Sydney, I think you're really going to start to see more of the Wanderers version that we really expected before the start of the season.
All right, let's move on to the Sunday. The early game is Wellington Phoenix against Melbourne Victory. I think this is a smoky for being one of the more entertaining games of the round, because Wellington have just come off that big win. Paulo Retro back in the team. Marco Rojas, is he fit enough to start against one of his old sides in Melbourne Victory? That'll be interesting. Melbourne Victory are going to be good, but likely without Nishan Palupale, who's been on a red-hot start to their A-League campaign. So, I still have Victory with the edge. Wellington still have a little bit more to prove in terms of their consistency moving forward. But Christian, I think this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, the Valupale injury is going to hamper Kisnorbo a bit with the selection, but not too much. You expect, most likely Azani to slot back, into the starting 11 for the first time this season. It'll be so interesting to see how that plays out. Lockie sort of disagreeing there.
Maybe Santos, who knows?
Not too sure. Santos, maybe. But also interesting, will Bruno Fornaroli be in the team sheet, the squad?
True.
So that will be another course of discussion. But I do see a bit of a tactical battle between Italiano and Kisnorbo, and for that reason, I see quite a low scoring affair, maybe even a 0-0. Neutral venue. Will both sides just be happy to take a point? It could be one of those types of games.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's going to be extremely tight between these two sides, as it was last season. Like you mentioned, Christian, tactically, it's going to be a real battle. And, we know the way that these two sides want to play. And from what we've seen so far this season, obviously Wellington haven't necessarily had a full strength squad. So perhaps we might see a few adjustments there from Italiano. But yeah, I mean, there's no denying Victory's strength at this point in time compared to Wellington's. I do think that you've got to give Victory the edge in this match, but I do think it'll be really close, and I do think that it'll be a good battle between the two sides.
All right, last game, Macarthur and Auckland. I honestly don't really know how to feel about this game. Auckland have obviously started the game very well. They've now had 2 weeks off with the bye and the international break. The Bulls coming off, the cup win, a decent start. They look like a pretty well-drilled, experienced team. Jacob, how do you see this one playing out?
I think, and this is something that Christian mentioned before we started recording as well, this could be game of the round. This is 2 informed teams, but relatively informed. Auckland sort of. I don't think anybody had them performing this well. In the preseason, I don't think props to anyone who did. I certainly didn't quite know how to judge them based on the fact we hadn't seen them play, but they look a very good side. Macarthur, obviously, we've seen what they can do this season, and they look really dynamic as well. So I think that this could be a really, really entertaining game, really, really fun. I'm going to go Auckland just because the story is fun there, and having them, in their first season, it's a bit like the Wanderers, right? And there are a lot of echoes of the Wanderers in they've just managed to do things right so far. So I sort of hope that they sort of experience a bit of that early success that the Wanderers had, because that kept those crowds around for such a long time. And obviously it wasn't until all of those controversies in like 2015, 2016 that the crowds started to dwindle for the Wanderers. So, I think avoiding any big dramas there, we've seen the crowds that Auckland can pull. And I think that, some early success in their existence as a club will help to keep those fans around. So yeah, perhaps for the storyline a little bit more, and how nice it is. I'd love for Auckland to get the result here.
Yeah, this game screams entertainment for me. Not my official prediction for most fun game of the round, as like we said a few weeks ago with Sydney and Auckland. But yeah, Auckland seemed to begin the most sort of the entertaining status this season in terms of.
Hey, I got 3 votes for that, just so you know.
No, I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking you. It was a good prediction, but it's interesting because I associate Auckland as sort of a team as not so entertaining. Like Steve Corica is a manager who is a bit more sort of tactically nous. He's got, that expertise where, defensively, not shut up shop, but that's where he'll focus on a bit more, where Auckland will be, I guess, it's sort of a choose your moments, sort of thing. Whereas, they're not all out attack. They're not, sort of crazy in that sense. And that's sort of a bit like Macarthur as well, where we've seen Wistojowski, since he's been at the club. So again, similar to the Phoenix and the Victory, again, a bit of a tactical battle where I don't expect too many goals. But if I had to predict the winner, probably Auckland, considering their form and the trajectory they're on.
All right, very nice. There you go. We have a couple of absentee predictions. Here is Will's.
Okay, for this weekend, I'm thinking I want at least 2 red cards and 2 draws across all the fixtures. So, yeah, I'm thinking that comes in. I'm due for one. I'm due for a specific one. I like going for it, and this is it.
Gee, Will's gone big so far this season.
He's also accompanied with the message, "I will never learn."
I love that. That's great.
So that's them. 2 red cards probably alone. Like draws, you can probably see coming, but 2 red cards is probably the degree of difficulty there. And then Paletti, 25 goals or less. Okay, they tried to have this argument about picking specific scenarios. Last year, Unite round, it was 28 goals. But what are we going? The A-League, we think is about roughly 3.2 a game by 6. That's like 19, 20 goals, less than 25. That seems like a pretty low bar. I'm just putting it out there.
Sorry, they've got to hit, 24, 25 to have a realistic shot, you'd think.
I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
Well, that's a criteria.
I think they just want to feel aggrieved, because this is what the third round in a row now that they've gone for a goals prediction, and so that they'll be able to bring out the old faithful arguments again of numbers and things like that. So yeah, it's it does feel like they want to keep coming back to the same talking points, and I mean props because that's holding a grudge to the nth degree right there. So I kind of respect that.
You do. You like someone who can hold a grudge.
I do.
Have you gone yet?
I haven't, because I didn't quite know where to fit mine. I should have mentioned it with Nicholas Milanovic, because mine is about hat tricks. So last season, before we started the official predictions game, do you want to know what the round before it was? It was Unite round. Do you want to know what my prediction was for that? It was that there'd be 2 hat tricks. Do you want to know what happened? Oh, lo and behold, 2 hat tricks. I didn't get those 3 points. I don't win the predictions game at
How
the
did
end
you
of
not
the
get
season.
the 3 votes?
No, I got the 3 votes, so they didn't count because it was
sorry,
before we'd started the competition.
Oh,
Right,
So-
it was just a fun little add-on.
Yeah.
wasn't it, that week?
So I don't want to miss out on those 3 points. So I'm going to go back to the same old thing again, and I'm going to say 2 hat tricks at Unite round.
So
This would be
you're now trying to
hilarious.
retcon the numbers from
That's
last
right.
year's
Yeah,
prediction.
yeah. If I, because
Saying
then
you
if
would've
I,
won.
if I get, well, I would have won if we'd have counted that round. If we'd have started it with that round, rather than going, oh, we'll do a test for 1 round. And
So
then,
you're
and
saying
then see-
Lucky Star is
see
a
how
bit
it goes.
of
No.
asterisk
Well,
inside, is it?
if you were ahead, maybe I would have played the round a little bit differently, you know. So
That's true. That's true.
there's a
but-
butterfly effect
But
all over the
it's
place.
also kind of FOMO. I don't want to, I don't want it to then come true again this year and go, I should have done it again. So I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm gonna go for it again. And if I hit it 2 years in a row, that's gonna be insane. But
Yeah.
it's sort of a 3 points or bust this one. But I've just got a feeling. I got a feeling.
Yeah, wow, 2 hat tricks. Okay, the degree of the difficulty is really high this week for a couple of you.
Which is crazy because we've missed some easy ones in the past few
Yeah,
weeks.
come on.
so-
If one matter starts and a low scoring round, I'm like so sad. It's good. All right, let's look back to round 4. Of course, it's been a little while now, but we had here our 5 predictions. Paletti guessed 60,000 in attendance across the whole round. I have the total number here. Oh, I've clicked off the screen on Twitter. That obviously I've just decided to scroll a little bit. The number is 53,662, so off by about 6,000, which is unfortunate for them. Jacob, you said 4 clean sheets, and there was going to be a bit of a debate around what a clean sheet meant. I actually interpreted it the way that you meant it, which was either side. Like if there was a 0-0, that counts as 2.
That's what I
Right.
thought as well. Yeah.
But you only got 3, right? So you missed that as
Yeah.
well. So,
But
so
yeah, 0-0
close.
didn't happen. So
Yeah, 0-0 didn't happen. So close. And then Will had a bunch of over-unders, got 2 out of 3. Christian, congratulations to you. You had goals in both halves of the Perth City Wanderers Adelaide game, and I had one of the blue teams, one of the 4 blue teams, Auckland's Melbourne City,
One of
Melbourne
the 4.
Victory, and
Auckland
Sydney
had a
FC.
bye. Auckland had
Hey,
a bye.
there's
Come
still 4
on.
blue teams. They didn't drop points either. And one of them did. Obviously, a little bit lucky with a red card, Sydney FC, but they dropped points. So, obviously, we can deal. Let's decide who gets 1 vote. I think that's fun,
Yeah.
right? So, obviously, Chris and I are in the top 2. Who is close to that? Surely not Will, right? 1 out of 3 of his over-unders. That's not good enough.
Mhm.
That's not good
He
enough.
got
right?
1 out of 3. Sorry, he got 2 wrong. Will.
He got 2
That's
wrong.
right.
Yeah.
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 What are the other options?
Well,
Me.
Paletti was about 10% short on his attendance, and Jacob was 25% short on
Okay,
his
no,
clean
but
sheets.
I don't want to rehash an old argument that I made last season, but you cannot directly compare something like a clean sheet and the number of people in a crowd. You just can't, they're different quantities of things. They're measured differently. That's not how you can't go, "Ooh,"
That's
but
part of the fun, though.
it is part of the fun, but
You're up, it's up to your argument.
well, my
Yes.
argument is, how many times are we going to accommodate Paletti's numbers predictions and keep just giving them the 1 point every week because they're close but not quite close enough, and everyone else has dropped the ball, and then there's one standout that gets the 3 points, and so Paletti manages to just slide in with another one, and they'll complain, oh, I should have gotten more, but secretly we all know that they're very, very happy that they got that point. I think we honestly at some point that needs to come to an end. But also, I mean, mine was a ballsy prediction because of how poor keepers have been recently. So the fact that there were 3 clean sheets, honestly, is quite surprising. I don't know, maybe that's just my thoughts, but 3 out of 4 clean sheets I think is pretty good. Whereas a crowd prediction that don't get right. What did they predict? What was the exact number they said?
60,000 or above, right? And we actually
60,000.
said that was a decent bar.
That's
at
a
the
decent.
time.
That's a decent bar, but then they've fallen short of that by 10%.
Yeah.
They've fallen short by 60,000 people, that's a decent attendance at a game. Like they'd have made it if they had an extra game in there.
True.
So it does sort of feel like, maybe that's further off than me and my clean sheet. Like,
Christian, what do you reckon?
This is probably one of the toughest sort of decisions we've made because they're all so off. Like we were here. I was originally leaning towards Paletti slightly, but after Jacob's argument, thinking second thought, I'd probably give it to Jacob, give it the one vote. More close. I mean, 53,000. Paletti predicted 60. It's not. It doesn't really equate.
That's not grandma and grandpa off Sunday afternoon. That's like as Jacob said, like that's a whole. That's
a decent
game.
Attendance. Yeah.
Are you in agreement? Lucky that Jacob.
I think I am. Also, I respect that Jacob went for the exact number. It wasn't 4+. It was 4 on the nose. It was 1 away. Whereas Paletti, you have such of a window above to earn something. I think if you're below, we're playing the prices right here.
I also
the opposite version.
I did raise my own difficulty bar by saying, as in 4 clean sheets, as in like 4. It doesn't like a 0-0 counts as 1, not 2, right? So like making that distinction, I think, made it even more difficult. Obviously, the 0-0 didn't happen, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like had that have happened, it would have been more difficult to hit. So perhaps maybe you're taking that into consideration as well.
All right, 1 vote to Jacob. Congratulations. Paletti may be ruining their non-appearance on the show, but we'll let them attack us in the group chat tomorrow morning.
No.
Let's have a statement each, Christian, and then Jacob can be the lawyer. Hey, we'll go this way, or the judge. Maybe is more appropriate. We'll be the prosecutors. We have 2 of those because that's how this law room works.
That's how it goes.
Look, 1 blue team's dropped points. I was bang on the money, right? Sydney, very, very good team, even without Costi and Lolly. Melbourne Victory, very good team. Auckland, very good team.
Didn't play.
Shush. Melbourne City playing Perth Glory. That was an easy one, all right? But I felt... Wait, no, exactly. That was a very easy win for them, right? All 3 of them should have had good wins, but I just felt one was going to slip up somewhere, and Sydney slipped up. And I think that was a really apt prediction. Whereas Perth versus Melbourne City, Christian, there were always going to be goals in both half of that game. Always, always, always. So
was there?
Always. There was
6 minutes to go. It was 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. And then they banged one in. It was always going to happen because Perth Glory were always going to lose by at least 3+. There's a good odd of one of those goals happening in each half. And then Western Sydney Wanderers and Adelaide, there is a degree of difficulty.
Western United Adelaide.
Ooh.
It was Western United Adelaide.
Was it?
To score. Yeah. Sorry, both a goal in both halves. That was the game.
That is correct. Because I have it on the graphic as Western Sydney Wanderers versus Adelaide, which is what I'm reading off.
Oh, sorry,
that was the week before.
That wasn't mine. That was the week before fixture. I had Western United.
It was Western United, yeah.
Does that change your argument in my favour, Lockie? No?
You brought this point up, Lockie. You said it's going to get confusing with 2 Western teams, especially when it's
it
Western
has
United
got
against Adelaide United. And it's confused you right here.
It's confused me. I got the graphic wrong last week, obviously. That one I'll give you. All right, that was a bit of a tough one. Who knows how that was going to play out?
Only 1 goal in the second half. So, no, you have.
All right, go. I relieve the floor.
So, obviously, I've gotten mine right, but I think I deserve the 3 votes more so because Lockie... of his prediction in general. So let me explain. So obviously the 3 blue teams, Sydney FC,
4.
Melbourne. No, I'm not counting all. Don't give me this nonsense.
Don't do that, Lockie.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. So Melbourne City, you argued last week, Lockie, on the pod that Melbourne City, you expected 3 points there, despite the injuries. So you expected that. Victory against Raw, Victory playing at Amy Park. I'm 100% certain that you expected Victory to get the 3 points there as well. And so, did you say Sydney, you expected them to win?
So I thought that all of them were the likely winners, but just they weren't certain enough.
That's what I'm saying. There's more. Yeah, but I don't agree that Sydney expected to beat MacArthur. That was a much more closely, I guess, contested affair. Looking in hindsight before the game. MacArthur a strong side. Why are you?
They dominated
why
the
are you
second
saying
half
that?
with 10 players. Sydney.
But we know Sydney have been going through a bit of a rough patch with the injuries as well. You're telling me that you expected
Yeah, but
Sydney
they dominated the second half
confidently-
with 10 players.
Okay, but we're talking about MacArthur. They managed
Christian,
their type
Christian,
of...
if I can just give you a piece of advice here, is you've not spoken about the strength of your own prediction once right
No,
now.
I'm getting to that.
And-
I'm just saying
and-
more of Lockie's.
I'm just saying, it's just saying, all you're doing is trying to poke holes in Lockie's. In
Because
his
there are
prediction.
holes. I want to expose those
Right,
holes.
yes, but
Yeah.
but all you're doing is also providing him a chance to defend himself, right? Like you're not
Well, I
you're
don't
not
agree
going
with his defense.
you're not backing yourself here, Christian.
I'm backing myself.
Why? Go. Tell me why it should be your prediction. Don't tell me why it shouldn't be Lockie's. Tell me why it should be yours.
I was getting to that point.
Okay.
Are you
Lawyer-
to charge
lawyer
for this
Jacob
consulting
Stevens.
service?
Yeah, a commission fee for this lawyer. No,
Hey, you're supposed
I
to be
think for-
impartial, buddy.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but this is what a good judge
No, no.
does, right? Is that they've got to get everything out, and so far Christian is not backing himself.
Maybe you're just the jury. Maybe you should shut up and just not say anything.
I just think mine was. Can I go? Yeah, I just think mine
Yeah,
was more difficult. I think the Western Adelaide, Lockie mentioned it before. Made an argument for my case. If you wanted to go on that route, Lockie, Jacob, I think it was more difficult. You could see those two teams sort of being a bit more cagey. I understand Lockie's point about City and Glory. There were goals to be expected in that game. Yes, I agree. But the Western Adelaide game, I think, we saw in that second half where, there was a couple of controversies. There should have been a penalty in the first half, but the second half, it was a bit more, it was tight. You can say, Jacob, you're at that game. Surely you can back me up on that and agree there. So I think, to get that prediction correct, a goal in each half, 4 halves consecutive throughout.
But again,
Is that-
as we know, clean sheets in the A-League are rare. Jacob, you've fallen for that very pitfall this week. And
Yeah.
I'll go back to the same argument we used for Paletti's a couple of weeks ago. The average goals per game in the A-League is above 3. So you're
but a
gonna
goal in
get
each
goals.
half. A goal in
Yeah, I
each
know.
half.
I'm not saying it's like it's not. It doesn't have zero difficulty.
I think
but if you're
this
going to
is
get
the
3
thing.
goals, there's a good chance one could be in either half.
It's been unlikely
Yeah.
so far this season if you go back on the fixtures.
No. But we have to. You have to use a larger sample size. And if going back to the strength of my prediction, because it is strong, of course. The Melbourne Victory were very, very close to dropping points against Brisbane, and I would have fallen off because, again, like you, Jacob, we think the same way. I like to give exact predictions, and I got mine on the nose here.
Yeah. So, okay, this is how I sort of look at breaking down predictions and how they deserve points. Number one, how much of it is correct? You both got it completely correct. So that moves down to the next level, which is degree of difficulty, which is something that Christian, somewhere within that monologue, did actually touch on. And I think that that's going to be the key point here, is the degree of difficulty of the two predictions. Jeez.
That's why I wanted to try and pick holes in Lockie's argument, because of the degree of difficulty.
and
That's
I
why I
get
was
that.
trying to get at first.
I get that, but
That's-
jeez, yeah, it's a tough one.
So not only was Christian trying to say that mine was, like that all 3 teams were expected to win, but I was actually closer to losing the other way with multiple teams dropping points.
But you also, it wasn't one blue team to lose, it was just drop points, and that opens up at
is
least
true.
2
That is
possible
fair.
results. So that does lower the difficulty a little
But
bit.
Christian
there.
also included a Perth game to have goals.
That's also true.
They were playing at home. City had a fair few injuries. I actually expected a closer affair. If you look back on my the
Well, you were
prediction
wrong,
for the
Christian.
video. Well,
I
what's
think,
my
but
official,
no,
what's my official
okay,
prediction?
this is true. We all did say last week that where are the goals going to come from for City? We were sort of doubting their goal scoring potential with the outs that they had.
Only Lockie was the one who was really confident that City were going to get 3 points. I think everyone else was pretty, skeptical.
We did
about
have our
City's
questions
chances.
over it.
We did.
God, I hate that I'm agreeing with Christian. This really sucks right now.
Don't live in
like
a
I'm s-
world where Christian gets 3 votes.
How else do we separate this, right? Though, if we both say, okay, they're both difficult predictions to make, what degree of originality? Like, And then
Come on,
that doesn't
Jacob,
work
cut
in
it there.
Lockie's
I've got
favour
you,
because
I've
No,
got you.
but I
Cut
was
it.
just
Come on.
playing on the drama of the series. I wanted to play off what you'd predicted the week before. It's for the content.
Don't let Lockie suck you in again, Jacob. Do not let him do this to you. You had it. You
All
had
right,
it there on your
that's the
fingertips.
argument is cut off. Christian and I, we're no longer allowed to talk. Jacob, you have 30 seconds to make your decision.
30 seconds to make my decision. Talk to myself to try and rationalise one. Christian's both halves goals, both halves A-League games. Lockie's is just one of a set number of teams to drop points, not to lose. Whereas at least when I did the blue teams thing, it was all of them to win. So it's like, that's I think more difficult, but maybe that's just me backing myself a bit stronger. But then Christian just was more intent on trying to bring Lockie down than backing himself. Because this is the thing, right? So from a legal perspective, from a law perspective, having that argument of just trying to pick holes in the opposition is never a good look because it means that you don't back yourself. But on just the pure difficulty of the prediction alone, I think it does go to Christian. I think what's done you in Lockie is it being just the drop points. I think if it was one to lose or one to draw, and one of those happened, I think it's yours 100%. But I think it's the drop points that's just brought it below. But that being said, Christian, I want to see a much improved performance from you in terms of your
my argument skills, my debating skills.
Because that was shocking, to be quite honest with you. And you're lucky that yours was just more difficult enough for me to sway in your favour. But don't consider that I'm going to be this forgiving again, because that was not a good display from you.
Mate,
Christian talked during the silent period as well.
I muttered to myself, didn't talk. Come on,
That's still talking.
I'll tell you what though, this is the tightest one we've had this season. Genuinely, that's a very difficult one to
all right, before you go, Christian, the leaderboard now reads, I think I've taken the lead, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm on 7. Jacob, you're still on 6. Christian, you've jumped up to 6 as well. And then... Oh, wait, no, you got a vote. We gave you a vote.
I got one, Jacob? Yeah.
So we're tied then. We're tied on 7, Christian on 6. Paletti on 3, Will on 1. Has a lot of catching up to do.
Will is never
high
catching
risk,
up.
no reward. Very early it's a long season though. It's a long campaign.
And Will was making fun of Christian for being bad at predictions, and
True.
The tables have completely turned there.
Hey, I said I was serious before the start of the season about predictions.
Yeah.
Will, I think you laughed as well, Jacob. I kept the receipts, I kept the screenshots, so I'll be showing it at the end of the season.
And who's on top?
And you know what? Lockie's got that asterisk above that start to his name. So it's not even
No,
a real
I
star.
do not at all. That was hard earned.
It's not
I
even a real
deserve
star.
that.
Hey, it's not even a real star. So when I get my star, I will be the sole champion of this.
Oh, absolute
This,
rubbish.
Lockie, this makes for some great social clips when he loses.
All right, we've been here long enough. That'll do. We'll see you after Unite round. Catch you then.